My wife told me her family's weekend trip was just a reunion. Then I found out it was her father's birthday party. I wasn't invited. That's when I decided to post a selfie from paradise. My name is Marcus. I'm 47 years old, senior financial consultant at Meridian Wealth Management in downtown Los Angeles. I've been building wealth for high net worth clients for 22 years, specializing in portfolio diversification and asset protection. I thought I understood the value of loyalty and family investment. I was wrong about one of those things. It started with an overheard phone conversation that changed everything. Thursday evening, March 15th, I'd just returned from a client meeting in Century City, still wearing my charcoal Tom Ford suit, when Sarah's voice drifted through our kitchen door. She was laughing in that conspiratorial way that always made my stomach tighten. "No, Mom, I'm not bringing Marcus to Dad's party. This is his 65th birthday. I want it to be special, you know? Just family." A pause, then more laughter. Honestly, I need a break from him hovering around all the time. He makes everything about work and numbers and spreadsheets. God, sometimes I just want to breathe without hearing about portfolio diversification and risk management. I stood frozen in our marble-floored hallway, my leather briefcase suddenly feeling impossibly heavy. "Besides," she continued, her voice carrying that familiar edge of embarrassment, "you know how Dad gets around Marcus. All that eye-rolling when Marcus talks about investments, the comments about him being all business, no personality. Remember last Christmas when Dad said Marcus had the social skills of a financial statement? I can't deal with that tension on Dad's birthday." Another pause. I could hear her pacing, the way she always did when she was planning something. "I'll just tell him it's a small family reunion. Women only, maybe. He won't question it. I've been so obsessed with that Singapore client anyway. He'll probably be relieved to have the weekend free for work." The conversation continued for another 10 minutes, but I'd heard enough. I quietly set down my briefcase and walked to my home office, closing the heavy oak door with the kind of controlled precision I used when reviewing devastating quarterly reports. For 8 years, I'd been the family's financial foundation. Sarah's mother's emergency medical bills when their insurance mysteriously fell through. $2,400. Her brother David's car loan when he temporarily lost his sales job. $18,050, with payments that somehow never materialized. Emergency home repairs for her parents when a contractor scammed them out of their savings. $31,200. Christmas gifts, birthday celebrations, family vacations to Cabo and Hawaii that I financed but somehow never quite belonged to. I opened my laptop and pulled up our comprehensive banking records, something I maintained with the same meticulous attention I gave my clients' portfolios. There it was, in stark numerical reality. $120,640 transferred to Sarah's family over 8 years. Emergency after emergency, crisis after crisis, always accompanied by tearful gratitude and promises that we'll pay you back as soon as things stabilize, and family takes care of family. But apparently family had its exclusions. I thought about Sarah's father, Richard, who barely acknowledged my presence at family gatherings. How he referred to my 22-year career as playing with other people's money, and questioned why his daughter had settled for someone who lives in spreadsheets. I remembered Sarah's mother, Patricia, who praised my generosity when she needed emergency funds, but rolled her eyes whenever I offered financial advice or suggested budget planning. Her brother David, who borrowed thousands but introduced me at parties as Sarah's husband, the accountant guy, despite my never having been an accountant. The irony was suffocating. While they saw me as the boring husband who talked too much about compound interest and asset allocation, I was simultaneously the financial lifeline they depended on. Invisible when they wanted fun and social connection, essential when they needed money and problem solving. That night, staring at my computer screen in the glow of my home office, I made a decision that would change everything. I had 3 high-net-worth clients requesting face-to-face consultations in the Maldives. Privacy-conscious individuals who valued discretion and were willing to pay premium rates for exclusive financial planning sessions in exotic locations. I'd been postponing the trip for weeks because Sarah had mentioned wanting to spend more quality time together. Now I realize she wanted the exact opposite. If Sarah needed space from her hovering, socially awkward husband, she could have all the space she required. I spent the next hour researching flights and accommodations. Emirates First Class departing Friday evening. The Soneva Johnny Resort, where overwater villas started at $2,800 per night, and privacy was guaranteed. If I was going to be excluded from family celebrations, I might as well be excluded in paradise. The next morning over coffee, I said nothing about travel plans. Sarah packed her weekend bag with unusual enthusiasm, selecting outfits with the kind of care she typically reserved for important social events. Just a boring family thing, she said, kissing me goodbye at the front door. Honestly, you'd hate it anyway. You know how my family gets when they start telling old stories and drinking wine. I'm sure I would hate it, I agreed, watching her face brighten with relief. She left Friday afternoon for her parents' house in Pasadena to help with reunion preparations. I left Friday evening for LAX. The first photo went live Saturday morning, Maldives time, as golden hour light streamed across my overwater villa's deck. The image captured me in a casual linen shirt, crystal clear turquoise water stretching endlessly toward the horizon, the Patek Philippe aquanaut on my wrist catching the morning sunlight. Behind me, the villa's glass floor revealed tropical fish swimming in the coral below. The caption read, "Unexpected free time in paradise." Sometimes the best investments come from the most surprising opportunities. Grateful for clients who value face-to-face consultation in inspiring locations. Maldives life. Wealth management. Client first. Blessed. I posted it simultaneously across LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, then set my phone aside to enjoy breakfast on the deck. Sarah's call came 37 minutes later, just as I was finishing my second cup of Kona coffee. Marcus, what the hell? Where are you? How are you in the Maldives? Why didn't you tell me you were traveling? I kept my voice level, professional. Client consultations. The Richardson portfolio required immediate attention, and Mr. Richardson prefers privacy for sensitive financial discussions. You didn't tell me you were leaving the country. You didn't tell me about your father's 65th birthday party. The silence stretched for nearly 15 seconds, then, how did you... That's completely different, Marcus. This is work. That's family. Is it different? Because your family seems to believe I'm too busy with work to celebrate milestones with them. You're being ridiculous. You know these family things make you uncomfortable anyway. You always end up in the corner checking your phone. We'll never know how comfortable I might have been, will we? Marcus, you're being petty. When you get back, we need to have a serious discussion about your priorities and your attitude. I look forward to that conversation, Sarah. I ended the call and checked my notifications. LinkedIn was exploding with engagement. Colleagues from Meridian Wealth were commenting with admiration. This is why you're the best in the business, Marcus. Living the dream while serving clients. My managing director, Robert Chen, had commented personally, "This is exactly the kind of strategic thinking and client dedication that makes you invaluable to our firm." Instagram wasn't far behind. Industry contacts, clients, and even competitors were praising my perfect work-life integration and commitment to excellence. What I didn't know yet was that my single photograph had triggered a chain reaction that would expose 8 years of family dynamics in spectacular fashion. According to what Jennifer would later tell me in detail, Sarah had spent over an hour staring at my post, refreshing the comments as they multiplied. She watched my professional network celebrate my success while her family had spent years treating me like a socially inept burden. For the first time, she saw how the business world viewed me, as accomplished, strategic, enviable. That's when her plan crystallized. "Jennifer," Sarah called her younger sister that Saturday evening, her voice tight with barely controlled frustration. "I'm getting Dad the Rolex after all. The Submariner we looked at last month at Tourneau in Beverly Hills." "Sarah, that's almost $8,000. That's a lot of money to spend without discussing it with Marcus first. Marcus doesn't need to know everything I spend. It's our money too, and he's clearly fine dropping thousands when it suits him. Did you see his Instagram? Living it up in some overwater villa while I'm here, dealing with family responsibilities and mom's drama about the catering? But honey, that's his job. It's our life, Jennifer. After seeing how he's treating this situation, posting vacation photos while excluding himself from family, I think Dad deserves something that shows he's truly valued. Something that makes up for Marcus's selfishness and social inadequacy. Jennifer, who had always been the most perceptive member of the family, felt something twist in her stomach. Sarah, don't you think you should talk to him first? $8,000 is... He spends more than that on his stupid watches and suits. Besides, after this Maldives stunt, he owes our family an apology. This is me taking initiative to repair the damage he's caused. That night, Jennifer lay awake thinking about the conversation. Unlike the rest of her family, she'd always noticed how hard Marcus worked, how he quietly solved their problems, how he never complained about the financial requests that seemed to arrive monthly. She'd seen him at family gatherings trying to contribute to conversations only to be dismissed or ignored. She'd watched him pay for elaborate dinners where he was treated like hired help rather than family. At 2:30 a.m. Maldives time, her text arrived. Marcus, I need to tell you something important. Sarah is planning to spend $7,800 on a Rolex for Dad tomorrow without telling you. She's using your Maldives post to justify it, saying you owe the family for being selfish. I don't think this is right. You've always been good to us. I stared at the message for several minutes, then typed back. Thank you for telling me, Jennifer. I appreciate your honesty more than you know. She's also saying some unfair things about your trip, about how you're showing off while she handles family responsibilities. I wanted you to know that I don't agree with that. Thank you, that means a lot. You work hard for your success, Marcus. You deserve to enjoy it. The next morning, I transferred $8,500 from our joint account to my personal account and took a speedboat to Malay. 2 hours later, I was walking out of the Rolex boutique with a Submariner date in blue. $8,200, exactly $400 more than Sarah had planned to spend. The second photo showed my wrist against the villa's teak railing, the new Rolex catching the afternoon sunlight as tropical fish swam in the crystal clear water below. The caption read, Invested in something timeless today. Sometimes you have to reward yourself for making strategic financial decisions and maintaining professional excellence. Quality endures. Rolex Submariner, Shabodak self-care, yes, worth it. Time well spent. Sarah's call came within 12 minutes. You bought an $8,000 watch. Are you completely insane? I invested in a Swiss timepiece with excellent resale value and heritage craftsmanship. While I can't even buy my father a decent birthday gift. You can buy him whatever you'd like, Sarah. Just not with money from accounts I manage without prior discussion and mutual agreement. You're destroying this family with your selfishness? I'm practicing sound financial management. There's a significant difference. She hung up without another word. According to Jennifer's later account, Sarah spent the next 2 hours crying in her childhood bedroom, while her parents demanded explanations about why their promised Rolex wasn't materializing. But Sarah wasn't finished with her plans. Jennifer's next text arrived Sunday evening. She's planning to pay for Dad's birthday dinner tomorrow night. Le Bernardin in Beverly Hills, the private dining room. She says it's $4,500 for the whole family plus wine pairings. She's calling it stepping up when her husband won't show basic family respect. I immediately checked our accounts. Sarah had already placed a $200 deposit from our secondary savings account. Money I'd been accumulating for her salon's mounting emergency expenses and equipment purchases. Monday evening, as her family gathered for what they expected would be an elegant birthday celebration, I transferred the remaining $3,300 from that account to my personal account and made my own dinner reservation. Sub 6, the underwater restaurant at the Nemo Resort, required a $500 per person minimum spend. I reserved their private dining room for an additional $2,500 and ordered the 7-course tasting menu with premium wine pairings. The third photo was taken through the restaurant's floor-to-ceiling windows, tropical fish and reef sharks swimming past as I raised a glass of Dom Perignon, 2008. The setting sun created an ethereal underwater atmosphere that looked almost otherworldly. Caption: Celebrating new perspectives beneath the surface. Sometimes you have to dive deep to see clearly. Grateful for experiences that expand worldview and remind us what true value looks like. Sub-6 Maldives. Underwater dining. New perspectives. Life below the surface. This time, Sarah didn't call. She texted, "The restaurant is demanding the balance payment. $3,300. I'm standing here humiliated in front of my entire family." I replied, "That sounds like a challenging situation. Perhaps a more budget-appropriate venue would have been the prudent choice." Marcus, this is my father's 65th birthday. The whole family is here. And this is my money you're attempting to spend without authorization or discussion. According to Jennifer, who witnessed the entire disaster, the scene at Le Bernardin was spectacular in its awkwardness. The maitre d' had approached their table midway through the second course, quietly informing Sarah that the credit card on file had been declined and the remaining balance needed to be settled immediately. Sarah went completely white, Jennifer told me later. She tried 3 different cards, but you'd move the money from all the accounts she had access to. Dad started getting loud, asking what was going on. Mom was mortified because other diners were starting to stare. The family ended up splitting a drastically reduced bill for what they'd already consumed, with Richard furiously throwing down his American Express black card while making pointed comments about sons-in-law who abandoned their responsibilities. The worst part, Jennifer continued, was watching Sarah try to explain why the money wasn't available. She had to admit she'd been planning to spend your money without asking, which made Dad even angrier. He kept saying, "What kind of financial planning is this?" And, "How do you not discuss a $5,000 dinner?" That's when Sarah played her final card. Her text arrived at 11:47 p.m. Maldives time. "When you get back, we're getting divorced. I'm done with your financial abuse and control. I won't be manipulated by money anymore." I stared at the message for a long moment, then smiled. Sarah had never worked a full-time job, had no understanding of asset protection or divorce law, and certainly didn't have money for a competent attorney. She was attempting to scare me into compliance, using the nuclear option to force me back into line. Instead, I opened my laptop and began researching Maldivian investment opportunities. By Tuesday morning, I'd scheduled a meeting with Farid Hassan, owner of the Azura Wellness Resort, whose spa expansion project promised exactly the kind of return Sarah's beauty salon had never delivered. Tuesday afternoon, I shook hands with Farid in his contemporary office overlooking the lagoon, signing a contract for a $52,000 investment in his luxury wellness center expansion. Exactly the amount Sarah had marked for her salon's urgent inventory restocking and essential equipment upgrades. The fourth photo showed our handshake across the polished conference table, the signed investment contract clearly visible between us, floor-to-ceiling windows revealing the pristine Maldivian lagoon beyond. Caption: "Thrilled to announce my partnership with Azura Wellness Resort's expansion project. After extensive due diligence and market analysis, I'm confident this represents the future of luxury wellness tourism. Sometimes the most profitable beauty investments are the ones that actually generate measurable returns." Maldives investment, Shadiyah wellness industry, smart money, due diligence. I tagged every major industry publication, luxury travel forum, and wealth management network I could identify. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Forbes contacted me within 2 hours for a quote about alternative luxury tourism investments. Travel Plus Leisure wanted to feature the story in their business travel section. My managing director called personally to congratulate me on thinking beyond traditional portfolios. Sarah's call was immediate and incandescent. "You invested $52,000 in some random spa while my business is dying?" You've completely lost your mind. Your business died 8 months ago, Sarah. I'm simply redirecting capital toward profitable ventures with actual growth potential. That's my salon money. That was for inventory and equipment. That was my money that was allocated to your failing business venture. There's a crucial distinction there. You've humiliated me in front of my entire family. Dad thinks I married an irresponsible maniac. I've diversified my investment portfolio into emerging markets. The two situations are completely unrelated. This means war, Marcus. When you get back, you'll find divorce papers waiting. I'm taking half of everything you have. I'll review any legal documents with my attorney and respond appropriately. But I knew Sarah better than she realized. She was impulsive, emotional, and had never followed through on a major decision without extensive family pressure and handholding. The divorce threat was performance art, designed to force my capitulation. What she hadn't calculated was that I'd call her bluff completely. I returned to Los Angeles the following Tuesday, flying first class on Emirates with a clear strategy and a portfolio that was already generating industry attention. The Azura investment had attracted inquiries from 3 luxury travel bloggers and 2 competing wellness resorts interested in similar partnerships. The house felt different when I walked through the front door. Sarah's car was absent from the driveway, and most of her designer clothes had vanished from our walk-in closet. She'd left a handwritten note on the kitchen counter. I'm staying with my parents until you come to your senses and transfer the money back to our accounts. My lawyer will be contacting you about divorce proceedings. I poured myself 3 fingers of Macallan 18 and settled into my home office to wait. The divorce papers arrived Friday morning via certified mail. Sarah was demanding $2.4 million in asset division, $8,000 monthly spousal support, and half of my investment portfolio. Her attorney had constructed a narrative claiming financial abuse, deliberate sabotage of family relationships, and systematic control through money management. My lawyer, Catherine Morrison, who'd handled 3 Supreme Court cases and commanded $800 per hour, reviewed the filing with barely concealed amusement during our Monday morning meeting. She's claiming you deliberately sabotaged her business investment? Catherine asked, adjusting her reading glasses. The same business venture that's showing a 96% loss rate over 22 months, I replied. And she's alleging financial abuse because you invested your own money in legitimate business opportunities? Apparently that constitutes abuse in her interpretation. Catherine leaned back in her leather chair, tapping her Mont Blanc pen against the legal documents. Marcus, in 31 years of practice, I've never encountered a more poorly constructed divorce filing. The prenuptial agreement you insisted on protects 87% of your assets outright. What about her fraud allegations? You mean the meticulously documented evidence of her spending joint funds without consent? The bank records showing systematic deception about business expenses? The failed salon she's been operating at a total loss while claiming profitability to justify continued funding? Catherine's smile was predatory. Those allegations might work decidedly against her interests. The case consumed 6 months of legal maneuvering. Sarah's attorney eventually recommended she accept a settlement of $1,800, precisely the amount she'd cost me in fraudulent business expenses and unauthorized family gifts over the previous 18 months. But the most significant development wasn't financial. It was personal. Throughout the divorce proceedings, Jennifer had been my unexpected ally and emotional anchor. She'd started texting me daily updates about her family's reactions, offering emotional support, and gradually sharing her own thoughts about relationships, loyalty, and what she'd observed about my character over the years. I've been thinking about something, she texted one evening in April, 3 months into the legal proceedings. About what you said during your deposition, about deserving to be treated as a partner rather than a bank account. What about it? I've been watching you handle this entire situation. The planning, the patience, the way you think strategically instead of just reacting emotionally. It's impressive. It's exactly the kind of approach that builds something lasting instead of just dramatic. Thank you. That means more than you realize. Marcus, can I ask you something personal? Of course. After this is all over, after the divorce is finalized and the family drama settles down, would you be interested in having dinner? Just the two of us. I'd like to get to know you as a person rather than just my sister's husband. I stared at the message for several minutes, feeling something shift in my chest that I hadn't experienced in years. I'd like that very much, Jennifer. Good, because I've been thinking that maybe you deserve to be with someone who sees your intelligence and thoughtfulness as attractive qualities rather than boring inconveniences. Are you saying what I think you're saying? I'm saying that I've had feelings for you for longer than I should admit. I've watched Sarah take you for granted for years while I've been thinking you're exactly the kind of man any intelligent woman would want to build a life with. That text message changed everything. Jennifer had made the first move, crossing a line that transformed our alliance into something deeper and more promising than I'd dared to imagine. Our first real dinner happened 2 weeks after the divorce was finalized. Jennifer chose a quiet Italian restaurant in Santa Monica, away from anywhere we might encounter her family. She wore a simple black dress that emphasized her natural elegance, and for the first time, I saw her not as Sarah's sister, but as a remarkable woman in her own right. I need to tell you something, she said over wine. I've been attracted to you for 3 years. Watching how you handled responsibility, how you solved problems, how you treated everyone with respect even when they didn't deserve it. I kept thinking Sarah was the luckiest woman alive and didn't even realize it. Jennifer, I know it's complicated because of the family situation, but I also know that you're the kind of man who thinks about building something real instead of just having fun. And I want to build something real. She reached across the table and took my hand. I want to be with someone who plans for the future, who thinks strategically, who understands that real partnerships are built on mutual respect and shared goals. I want to be with you. The Azura investment, meanwhile, was exceeding every projection. Within 8 months, my $52,000 stake was valued at $79,000, and the resort was booking celebrities and luxury travel influencers who were generating international attention. More importantly, Jennifer and I were building something authentic and substantial. She'd started her own freelance graphic design business, legitimately profitable from month one, and never once asked me for money. Instead, she asked for advice, partnership, and emotional support. You know what I love most about you? She said one evening as we watched the sunset from my downtown loft's terrace. What? You think 10 steps ahead. You plan for problems that haven't happened yet. You build things designed to last rather than just look good temporarily. It's just sound business practice. No, it's sound life practice. It's the difference between reacting to crisis and preventing crisis. It's the difference between someone who manages money and someone who builds wealth. I pulled her closer, feeling the kind of contentment I'd never experienced with Sarah. Speaking of building things that last, yes, I've been thinking about expanding my personal investment portfolio. Something more permanent. What kind of permanent? The kind that involves a joint savings account with someone who actually understands the difference between an investment and an expense. She laughed, the sound mixing with the evening breeze. That's the most romantic proposal I've ever heard. I'm just getting started. Sarah's salon closed permanently 9 weeks after our divorce was finalized. The final nail was an eviction notice for $12,000 in unpaid rent, money that would have been covered by the Azura investment returns. The family's reaction was predictably dramatic. Jennifer forwarded me a screenshot from their group chat. Marcus poisoned Sarah against all of us. He turned her materialistic and vindictive. We're better off without that kind of toxic negativity contaminating our family dynamics. They still don't understand what actually happened, Jennifer texted me. Let them maintain their preferred narrative, I replied. I'm too busy building something better to invest energy in their revisionist history. The Azura Wellness Center paid its first quarterly dividend 4 months later, $14,200. more than Sarah's salon had generated during its entire 2-year existence. I used a portion of those returns to buy Jennifer an engagement ring, not because she expected expensive jewelry, but because she'd earned it through genuine partnership, intellectual compatibility, and authentic affection. The kind of relationship that actually appreciates in value over time, rather than depreciating through neglect and resentment. "You know what the best part of this is?" she said, as I slipped the platinum band onto her finger, the diamond catching the candlelight in our favorite restaurant. "What?" "This time, when you post the photo announcing our engagement, I'll actually be in it, and I'll be proud to be there." The engagement photo received 3,147 likes across LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. The caption read, "Sometimes the most valuable returns come from the most unexpected opportunities. Thrilled to announce my engagement to someone who truly understands partnership, growth, and building something meaningful together. New beginnings. Real value. Worth the wait. Partnership." Jennifer liked it within 30 seconds. Sarah's family never acknowledged it, but that was perfectly acceptable to me. I'd finally learned the crucial difference between people who value your presence and people who value your presence. The former builds lasting wealth in every sense of the word. The latter depletes it systematically until nothing sustainable remains. And I was definitively in the business of building things designed to endure.